My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. It is currently Sunday, September 8th, 2024, and it's 1:21 p.m. This is documentation that is being captured while I am currently in the process right now of uploading evidence onto the venue of the internet, which is what the state of California that's engaged in criminal surveillance, the state of California that is engaged in an exceedingly violent sex offense, that is group stalking, with and in concert and requiring the population, who are the people of the state, who are notably of a very specific condition. These are the demon possessed that are engaging in a demonic system that is designed to psychologically torment and terrorize and also sexually violate an American citizen whom is being placed under surveillance. And so while I am again at 9750 Key Point, that is the third party facilitating venue, that is the direct opposite of any constitutionally protected operation of a business where the pattern of conduct by the state of California is underway. So Holiday Inn is a domestic terrorist that's engaging in the state's pattern of conduct in the specific environment, which are all the relevant facts that surrounds everything that's happening. And so while I am in the process of uploading videos, and again, it's 1:22 p.m., the entity is engaging in what is the real-time change of the weather. And you know that this is not the natural environment. This is where the fake sun is rising and setting. This is the reality. If you did not know, if you were ignorant before, if you were lacking evidence of things such as the demonic, the reality of Satan, demon possession, the severity as the P.O.C. reveals, meaning severity, meaning you're talking about, I've come across millions of people group stalking me and they're all demon possessed. And that's in the state of California. And then I went across state lines to Nevada just to find that the state of Nevada is fully engaged in the same exact pattern of conduct. And the implications of that is that demon possession is not some far off extreme condition. The average person is of this condition, meaning Satan is currently controlling millions of people who are under his influence and engaging in what is now criminal conduct, not secret any longer. It's absolutely unconstitutional. But with regard to speaking to those who have an ear to hear, eyes to see, okay? Speaking to his church, the children of God, those who have yet to come to faith and accept the Lord Jesus as your Lord and Savior. Just want to speak some truths that you can deduce from this criminal prosecution of the state of California that is being prosecuted for its satanic behaviors, which are criminal. Satan is very real, and Satan uses people. Satan is engaging in what is conduct through the very people. Satan's a spirit, so Satan is not going to levitate and wearing a red leotard suit and a tail and red horn. That's all a caricaturization of a very real spirit, and that is Satan. Okay, and that is to deceive on purpose. And so, with regard to the pattern of conduct, you have what is literally the isolated tsunami weather. Okay. And so again, where the sun is rising and setting, which is I've referred to in the natural, that's a scientific impossibility. Okay. This is directly contradicting organizations such as institutions, however you want to identify. NASA has lied to us. Or this is something that NASA is ignorant about, and I want to let you know that NASA is not ignorant about what's going on. NASA is an instrument to deceive the masses, okay? We're told one thing about the sun. We're told many things, but in other words, the general idea about the sun, and yet I'm showing you a light source that is referred to as the sun. You're looking at this light source, and it's remaining over one building as I'm inside of it all day long. That's directly refuting what NASA, for example, has told us how we are framing, for example, policies that you hear about, such as climate change, such as the annual fires that are happening in California, which is keeping domestic terrorists like Cal Fire, it's keeping them employed. It's putting them on the news. It's painting them as heroes when actually they're engaged in what is absolutely satanic, and it is in the demonic environment. And while I'm showing a fake sun that's remaining over this hotel, it's the evidence of what is a satanic system of targeting as opposed to a natural environment. This is where tsunami weather is occurring. And so it was hailing. The weather got so loud, it got so vigorous that the hail was beating on my windows. That's how loud it was. That's how severe the weather got. And this is with real time. Remember, at the same time, the demons who are engaged in this criminal system have been, and before they are entering into their federal cells, okay, before they go to federal prison, the world is aware of, that is listening to me, that is watching my documentation as it's published for your benefit, okay? The world and the entity itself has been warned every step of the way. Okay, so they are watching while they are group stalking me, surveilling me, intending to psychologically torment and terrorize me, and sought to do so in a secretive manner such that I would be criminally defamed as somebody that is just out of my mind, hallucinating, making it up, even though I'm an educated and legally trained professional, trying to falsely depict me as some paranoid, schizophrenic, bipolar, you fill in the blank, that's just making up information because I have that much of a fantastical imagination, and I can no longer recognize or deal with reality. And that's why all of these circumstances in my life are such as being both homeless and also being a licensed attorney, which is exactly the case as of 2018. None of this is my doing, having nothing to do with my competence, never being subject to any punishment with regard to my practice of law, had nothing to do with me, in other words. Okay. And this is the pattern of conduct that I've been documenting as a matter of record since 2018, when I was subject to such dire circumstances, which this entity created by engaging in this pattern of conduct. And now at this juncture in the evidence, it is to the entity's demise, because what is now proven beyond a reasonable doubt, meaning in the natural, which is demonic at its core, and it's also criminal. And so why am I going through all that? Because I'm going to document what the entity is engaging in. So while the entity is literally, this is fear that Satan is communicating while it goes from a sunny day. You saw the fake sun over the hallway window. You saw the impossible light activity on the floor on the inside of that hallway, which in and of itself is the evidence of the demonic, because sunlight is not going to manifest itself at that angle, at that trajectory on the inside of a building. You look at it every day, though, and you don't pay attention to it. You don't question it. It's actually impossible. Secondly, that light source is a hovering, hunkered down object. That's also not the sun. Directly in contravention with what things such NASA has told us. If it's a gaseous ball of fire, then why would it be so close to the buildings? And none of the buildings are setting on fire. When the demons are stalking me in helicopter, they're flying right next to it, on top of it, beneath it. It looks as though they're flying right through it. None of them are ever being set ablaze. I've got years and years of documentation of group stalking by helicopter. Never the case. Okay, that's a light source. It's not the sun, meaning why am I using that specific vocabulary? Because I am making a distinction based on what we all recognize, the facts surrounding the sun, the natural environment, and that is juxtaposed with what is not the sun, and it is referred to appropriately as a light source, a fake sun. That remains, by the way, over me all day long, no matter where I'm at. No matter where I'm at. And as you've seen, since July 21st, 2024, when I did not remain at Alvarado Gardens, where the entity was rising and setting in sun at Alvarado Gardens, well, when I departed from that property, the entity engaged in moving that fake sun over me, and every hotel that I've been at, the entity's keeping a fake sun over it. And I went from San Bernardino County, which is where I'm at now, to San Diego County. I went to Las Vegas, Nevada. I went across state lines. I went to Orange County, and you have seen the same thing, which is a phenomenon. It's a phenomenon, even down to using same time analysis, even down to capturing at the hotel in the beginning of the day in the morning where it's rising. And then at that same hotel, at the same position at that hotel, I've even done that. And you'll see the same fake sun at that venue. This is the body of evidence that surrounds the population. So that population is the people of the state who are group stalking in Hesperia. And while the entity engages in what is reacting to the evidence that, let me be clear, the demon possessed, Satan himself, is a short-sighted, treacherous thug. Okay. Satan, in other words, seeks to engage in whatever he can engage in and get away with at the moment, not thinking long term, not thinking with any strategic mindset, using whoever is foolish enough to engage in that conduct. I'm capturing fool after fool after fool. Literally, that's what the demon possessed are. That's relevant to what is a mindset that you're going to prosecute, and you're also going to warn the public about. Okay, that's a public safety concern. But nonetheless, the entity isn't being reminded while I am publishing a wealth of evidence onto YouTube and with real time. In real time, remember, it is real time reaction. It's not the natural environment. The fake sun is rising and setting. So the hailstorm that's resulting while I'm uploading these this plethora of video documentation is both the fear that's communicated, but it's also terrorism. Understand what the ordinary target individual is subject to. And it's notable to speak to what the entity is doing while the fake sun is no longer seen and a hailstorm persists, which, by the way, as I started speaking, the hailstorm ceased. No more hailstorm. Okay. And it's currently 1:31 p.m. And this is what I mean with regard to my ability to control. And when I say my ability, I am not holding up my finger and say, keep a sun over me all day long or start raining now. When I say my control, I mean the demons, that is Satan, who are using the people of the state, who are, let me be clear, different bodies, multiplicity of bodies, millions of people, one spirit. So you're essentially dealing with one person. I've referred to it as an entity. But this is Satan that surrounds. And Satan is watching the evidence against him being published on the internet. And with real-time reaction, it begins to hail. And to supplement for the elements of monitoring, which is also a communication of a threat. And why? Because the elements control. The entity begins sounding the alarm in the hotel. And that's serving for what is demonic pacing, the demons, they're demons every other moment. Okay? It doesn't stop to be the case when the hailstorm begins and the alarm, which is audible activity, light activity, and they begin pacing. They're still the same demons who you see group stalking while my room, for example, at 4 o'clock in the morning is filled with the window panels on all walls inside. Those are the same demons who have the uncanny ability to use their doors, for example, to follow, that is to stalk, to mirror. Okay. And as far as evidence with regard to the prosecution as the state, that's called terrorism. While demons are monitoring you, that's criminal surveillance. Those are the same demons that are pacing around while the entity is, and that the entity is Holiday Inn, uses the alarms inside of the hotel. Remember, the fake sun has been covered up, and there's a real-time reaction of my evidence with regard to the abrupt hailstorm. That is, again, as I'm publishing the evidence onto the venue of the internet. It's the same specific environment. The specific environment is, and this is what I mean by my control of the environment, because with whatever it is that I state, whatever it is that I reveal about what Satan is doing, whatever it is I reveal about the people of the state who are demon possessed, in other words, there is a reaction which you can perceive in the unnatural environment that surrounds me. That's what I mean by my control. So if I were to, for example, as I did many times, if I stay at Alvarado Gardens, the fake sun stays over Alvarado Gardens all day long. The moment I go to the Glendale DMV, the moment I go to the Los Angeles Social Security Administration office, that fake sun departs necessarily from Alvarado Gardens, the property, to remain over my vehicle en route to that location, which is what you see big picture when I drove to Las Vegas, Nevada. That's a phenomenon. And it's not both remaining stationary over Alvarado Gardens, over my apartment, over the top of my head, and also in real-time movement and keeping in step with me while I'm driving to another state, and being seen over the Fairfield by Marriott Hotel in San Diego County in San Diego, California, where it's there in the morning, and it's also there in the afternoon and into the evening, where, by the way, the entity is also group stalking. That's how you're identifying that. In helicopters, the hallmark, the well-documented hallmark. So this is what I want to make sure I'm capturing. I want to make sure I speak to this because while the entity sounded the alarm, that is supplementing for the fake sun that is covered up. Remember, all of these demons that are in traffic, that are walking around, whether they're homeless, whether they're group stalking by staying in a hotel, whether they're group stalking by being a patron at any of these third-party facilitating venues that I have documented by name, whether they are group stalking by working at the Holiday Inn, whatever their means of criminal presence, and criminal activity creation. They are fully engaged in what is the pattern of conduct, supplementing for light activity and audible activity while the alarm goes off. And you are also, in the same way that you're analyzing any stalker, you are going to analyze the threat level with regard to what they do as they do it and what they know as they choose to engage in the conduct that they engage in. And remember, the entity that is demon possessed, the entity that is the state of California, has every step of the way been aware of the fact that an American citizen is going to prosecute it. Okay, so this is not ignorance with regard to the evidence about the fact that you're stalking an American citizen. This is that stalker looking at every form of evidence being published against it second by second and continuously stalking, which is the communication of a threat by a government. Remember, this is no ordinary stalker. This isn't a 15-year-old prepubescent boy with braces on his face that can't harm a fly. No. This is group stalking. So that 15-year-old prepubescent boy with a demon on him, by the way, is backed by the demon-possessed terrorist organizations masquerading as law enforcement officers, making up departments who are also stalking with that prepubescent 15-year-old boy with acne and braces with a demon on him, and also group stalking with those that are group stalking in helicopters. That's the entity in a 15-year-old prepubescent boy, group stalking with his mom and dad. Okay, that's the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. And so the entity is supplementing audible activity and light activity by sounding the alarm. So I want to make sure I document that. And again, also, you're going to analyze even further. Who is the entity summoning when the alarms go off? Oh, the demons who are group stalking every other minute. This is a communication of a threat, and all of this is occurring at the venue. Not a business. Holiday Inn is not a business. Holiday Inn is exposed as a domestic terrorist. That's why the sun is rising and setting. And then you are correcting yourself because the sun is not rising and setting at the same address. The light source where federal group stalking and monitoring is happening is rising and remaining and then setting at the same address, which is also giving context regarding the condition and the criminal activity of everyone around you who pose a threat to your safety because of the necessarily demented mind state and the sexual violence that they practice, keeping a woman under surveillance in a hotel room. Very, very sick. Okay, so the entity is doing so while it is reacting to the evidence that's being published onto YouTube, on the internet, while they're engaged in Title 18, criminal conduct, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. All right, so the entity is doing so while the fake sun is covered up, a hailstorm begins, and the hail is so heavy, it's so loud. The entity is engaging in what is supplementing for audible activity, as opposed to the demons who are group stalking at all the third-party facilitating venues around, and the impossible occurrence that you're going to hear them revving their engine, and it's as impossible as the sun rising and setting at the same address. They're doing so with simultaneity to your physical movement, even when you're physically nude, engaging in that movement, which is a sexually violent threat. It's psychologically tormenting, and violating the reasonable sense of the ordinary sensibilities of any person. Okay, this is what demons do. They're closeted sex offenders who are in custody of children. For example, the sex offender you'll see group stalking in the hallway going to room 303. This is a demon carrying a black plastic bag. He's pacing. They are the same actors. Satan is using all of their bodies to engage in demonic pacing all around while they maintain a chorus, an ongoing chorus of noise, while they are aware of the evidence being published for their own prosecutorial demise, if you will. There are hundreds of people who are going to federal prison, and they belong there. They are acting as though the animals that they don't want you to know that they are. And that is just the real-time outworking of demon possession. It is a warning. If you do not know the Lord Jesus Christ, if you have not accepted his free gift of salvation, this is something for you to take heed of what's happening to the state of California. What's happening to the state of California is that which is a long-term result of that which is God will not be mocked. In other words, what scripture says, God will not be mocked. Whatever a man sows, that he shall also reap. Okay, so the entity's been engaging in murdering, okay, or being at the hands of any target individual that has taken their own lives. As far as the Lord is concerned, that person's blood is on this entity's hands that's been engaged in this system. And it's a government system. And it's entirely satanic. That is giving you knowledge, direct knowledge of those who are worshiping Satan, and they don't want you to know that they worship Satan, because it's not fully acceptable to be a Satan worshiper. It's not fully acceptable yet to openly give praise to Satan, to hail Satan. But this is exactly what group stalking is. This is exactly the purpose of group stalking. This is what the outer workings of group stalking is about. Group stalking, remember, is demonic activity. And the demonic environment is shown through the real-time changing rapidly of the weather, which is not the natural environment. You've been told fallacies, such as the cause of the annual fires in California. These are demons, and that is demonic conduct, and it's also serving for a lot of people getting paychecks. They're getting money, they're getting paid, and it's the work of Satan, by the way. It's not even the natural environment. That's the explanation for the fires that are happening every year. By the way, those that are putting those fires out are domestic terrorists, they're group stalkers, they're demon possessed. The public corruption in the state of California is rampant. Okay, so the entity is engaging in this conduct while a hailstorm broke out and it is literally because I am publishing evidence, which again, short-minded, demon-possessed, closeted sex offenders and obsessed stalkers that do not think beyond their physical location, what they are doing right now that Satan is compelling them to do, which they're doing of their own volition. You don't have any constitutional defenses. They make choices, they make poor choices. That's speaking to a mental illness by a population. And because those short-minded demons are being reminded about what they already did, the entity is engaging in what is psychotic behavior, which I want to document. And so the alarm's going off to summon. The entity is engaging, using the alarms go off. You're summoning the demons who are the state actors that call themselves fire departments. Right now, they are being exposed as regarding what they actually are. That's the purpose of using the alarms, and they're supplementing for elements of monitoring, which is also the communication of a threat while you're engaged in Title 18. There's nothing legitimate going on. It's all group stalking. It's all a sex offense, and it's all psychotic. So I just want to make sure that I document that. And this is prefacing what it is that I am capturing while I am in real time publishing evidence as of July 21st, 2024. Very damning evidence, which you will see. It's all going to be published. Hi, this is Erica Spencer and 308. And I wanted to know, is everything okay? Because I heard the alarm go off a couple times, one at like 1:19 p.m. and then about 10 minutes earlier, it went off only for a couple of seconds at about 1:08 p.m. And I just wanted to follow up. Is everything okay or what?
Yeah, it was a false alarm.
Oh, it was a false alarm? Okay, because I heard the people in the hallway yelling out, oh, we have to get out of here, we have to get out of here. So
no, it was just because of the rain, but we're good.
Oh, the alarm went off because of the rain?
Yeah, because it was I'm not too sure, but I spoke to Apple Valley Communication Center. That's where we have our like fire alarms, but we should be good.
Okay, that's interesting. I've never heard of that. So because of hail and rain, a fire alarm goes off.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, but thank you for, this sounds like Jose, right?
Yep.
Thank you so much, Jose. Have a good one, okay? Bye. Yeah, that's P.O.C, and even that conversation is audible activity. But again, who is the entity summoning? The entity is summoning the terrorists themselves that are acting directly. Understand the malice of the entire system. And I also want to point out something. This is everything that you will be mindful of. Today is September, I believe it is September 8th. I was going to say September 9th. It's September 8th, 2024. And on this day, I'm uploading evidence about what Town Place Suites by Marriott engaged in when I was physically nude in my hotel room, where the fake sun was rising and setting at that address in Monrovia, California, nowhere near Hesperia, California. Okay, so this is already the crime scene. This is already a sex offense underway. The entity went to the extent to engage in that sex offense with regard to using the alarms while I was turning on the shower. Okay, that's the demonic pattern of conduct of stalking with activity. The entity employed the method of activity creation using the alarms, okay, which the demons who are group stalking in the hotel and all around the hotel, okay, you know that they're nothing but demons because the fake sun is rising and setting over the Town Place Suites by Marriott in Monrovia, California, and that those are demons that are pacing as opposed to normal people who are actually just driving in traffic. There is no such thing under the light source. This is the malice of an entity, a demonic entity and a public entity that is demon possessed, engaging in criminal conduct with the constituents of the state. That is a criminalization of a satanic system that a public entity is engaging in. And so in Monrovia, at Myrtle and Huntington, where the sun was rising and setting, and the entity was foolish enough to do that, and I captured it on video, the entity is engaging in what is demonic pacing all around the hotel. So this is a massive sex offense. Okay, this is sexual violence that has never before been contemplated and certainly not legislated, and it will be recognized under federal law. All right. And you will be documented by the feds like any other violent sex offender. Okay. But you are an extraordinary sex offender. Okay. You're a terrorist engaging in sexual violence as a government, and it's going to be sliced down to your name, including Jose. Okay. This is what the entity is doing while they're checking demons in and out of this hotel room. And while the weather engages in a rapid adjustment, which is, again, the hailstorm was nothing other than a means of audible activity. It's also when you're in a demonic environment, everything that is designed to terrorize you, you're going to be prosecuted for it, period. And the people, the entity itself is going to answer in that federal prosecution for what it is surrounding. They're stalking you in that environment. So they're working hand in hand with Satan. They are demon possessed. And this is evidence which is of a satanic nature, but it is no less probative of the pattern of conduct than any satanic ritualistic murder of an American citizen. The entity is engaging in an ongoing conspiracy to murder and kidnap an American citizen, and the evidence, the nature of that evidence, just so happens to be satanic, and it's no less admissible in federal court. And you are also using logic and analyzing that demonic behavior, that demonic environment, which is serving that criminal system. And it also serves as a public safety announcement, public safety concern, and it's literally a public service to announce to the masses. You need to be aware of those that surround you. This is not to put out a message that's supposed to cause you alarm. If you know the Lord Jesus, if you know him as your Lord and Savior, you know that you don't have anything to fear. You are witnessing the fact that he is King of all. Okay, he is the Alpha and the Omega. He is the beginning and the end. No one can contend with him. No one can stand before him. Satan is not the equal opposite. None of his demon-possessed minions stand a chance either. Okay, so while the entity is engaging in this, this is not to alarm anyone, and you are not alarmed those who know Christ. If you are outside of Christ, if you don't know him as your Lord and Savior, I'm going to be honest with you. You have every reason to be fearful. Satan is demonstrating the power that he does have over human beings. If you do not have the Holy Spirit, if you do not know the Lord Jesus as your Lord and Savior, if you do not know him personally in a relationship, okay, you have a reason to fear. I'm looking at people every day, and Satan has a full hold of them. They are engaging in abnormal animalistic behaviors. They act, you're literally looking at human beings. You're looking at a person in the flesh and blood in the natural, but you are looking at the personality of Satan. Very abnormal, very animalistic, very disturbing behavioral patterns, what they're doing with their bodies, their mindset that is necessarily gone. Their mind has long vacated the building, engaging in group stalking, and what's necessarily occurring when you're group stalking someone. And that's demonic behavior. Okay, this is a population you need to be aware of and be informed about the safety concern, your safety concern. Summoning the police when you are fearful of your safety, you need to be aware of what the police departments in this country, what their condition is, and the criminal conduct that they are actually maliciously engaging in, and how that is putting you at risk. You have seen on the evening news, American citizens that are losing their lives at the hands of law enforcement. And sometimes it's given an angle with regard to what racism was the case. And you've got one that's depicted as a monster, okay, because they were racist and there's a history. And so this particular law enforcement officer, he's going to be face justice. He was immediately removed from his job. That's an angle. You've got another angle where it's put to you as a quote unquote legitimate accident, okay. There's another angle where it's being put forth to you as an act of negligence and overuse of power, being overly anxious. You've got another angle where you're looking at what is on its face, just actors that are a part of these law enforcement agencies, and they are engaging in using gunfire or whatever it is, whatever the circumstances behind the loss of life that is occurring. And it is on its face something that is inexplicable. It's defying. Why would you even engage in this course of action that is reasonably going to result in a loss of life? There are multiple angles, in other words, where you are looking at the same exact thing. These are terrorist organizations, and they're masquerading as law enforcement agencies, and your life is at risk while you summon them to your house because you are fearful and you're being made to feel as though you're unsafe, while the demons who are group stalking you in your neighborhood are harassing you, and you are summoning the same exact entity to your house that's just wearing a badge. It's a threat to your life. These are the things that you need to be made aware of. These are the things that are going to save your life. This is not speaking to, and if you know the Lord Jesus, you're not responding in that way. This is not calling for any sort of vigilante justice. You're watching the Lord Jesus give me justice. You're watching him hand the enemy over to me. A victorious, triumphant victory, in other words. You're watching that. He's the one that fights our battles. He's the one that goes before us. Okay? So that's not what this is calling for at all. But this is a reality. Demon possession is very common. And those who you think are your friend, even those who you love, you may be blood related to them. But there is a separation. There's a separation with regard to what is your spiritual enemy. And in the natural, maybe your beloved. Okay? But your spiritual enemies, one is fully under the control of Satan, and that is a threat to you. And this is something that you need to recognize and be made aware of. It's just for your own safety, for your realization. There are people who are putting themselves in harm's way and you don't even know it. You're ignorant of it. You're ignorant about it. And this is the reality of what is the spiritual warfare that is surrounding you, where you're going, when you're going to the grocery store, when you're on the freeway, when you are getting on air, taking flights, wherever you're going, when you're visiting different states. It doesn't matter what state you're going in this country. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. But you're understanding what is the reality about what Satan is doing amongst the people. And you are able to gather all of this for your own benefit, learning from it, praying about it. OK, pray about whatever it is that you are understanding and recognizing for you to apply in your own life. What is the Lord Jesus telling you as you are looking at this prosecution, as you're witnessing what the Lord is saying? That's for you to take back to the Lord and confirm that. But this is what he wants you to know. You need to know that things are not necessarily as they appear. Okay? And that's not only in the environment, clearly, it's also with the people that you're looking at. And these are just the times that we're approaching. These are the times that we are in. We've been in them for a long time, but it's going to progress and it's going to get worse. What's now looked at on the depicted on the news as a senseless, a crime committed, for example, against a child, there were no warning signs. By all means, they came from a loving family. There was nothing that could have indicated that this would have ever happened. That's how it's being reported now. There's coming a time where that's going to be an ongoing, normal, casual occurrence with regard to harming children for no purpose whatsoever. More and more and more common. In other words, not reported as being so unheard of, being so bewildering, being so, unexpected. This is where this people is headed, and they are the demon possessed. They serve Satan, and many of them know they are engaging in. They bow to Satan. They hail Satan. They don't do it under their fake sun, because it's not the sun. They don't do it in daylight. In other words, they don't do it openly. In fact, they congregate with those who call themselves Christians, and they are saying, praise Jesus, and they are actually serving Satan. They are devoted to Satan and to the works of Satan. They hate the children of God, those who actually belong to him, those who have the Holy Spirit. That's what's going on. That's what's actually going on. And they go to church every Sunday, by the way. Okay. They work for police departments. They work at the hotel. They work at your neighborhood Target, your neighborhood Starbucks. They work at McDonald's. They're in traffic all around you. They live next door to you. They live with you. You're married to them. You're related to them. Whatever the circumstances are, it's not as far out and far off and isolated and exceptional as you have been conditioning your mind to think. Literally, a hailstorm is summoned as I am publishing evidence, and the entity has been warned for years about what's going to happen to it. So you're talking about inevitable judgment, and this is judgment that is no small thing. Very severe consequences are waiting for this entity that conspired to murder and kidnap me, sought to sacrifice me. And it's the work of Satan. This is what Satan is doing to American citizens in this country. There is a surveillance system that's already in operation, and you are under the illusion that you're free, that you have privacy, and it's a lie. That is not true. Okay, and I want to be clear. The governor, the president, the vice president, the candidates running for office, this system is already in operation. This is an illusion that you are being faced with, and there's coming a time where that illusion is not going to exist. Satan is going to, in plain sight, in your face, be open and upfront, and also very aggressive and hostile and threatening with regard to what's been going on for a very long time. All right. So before Satan's timeline, if you will, Satan has been outed before Satan intended to be outed. That's what this serves as. Okay. And that's for the benefit of those who know Christ, those who belong, the children of God, in other words, who will take heed. All right. Who are in right alignment. And if you're not, get into alignment, because he's coming back. He is coming back. He's coming back in judgment. And that's why he is speaking on the secret things that Satan has been engaged in for years. That's why he's speaking on it. All right, so that is speaking to giving context regarding what these demons are doing on an ongoing basis while I remain inside of a hotel room, which is a prosecution of a business that's engaging in what is relevant to RICO charges as well. But my angle of the prosecution of the state of California, which is, again, going to be supplemental to what the federal government having its own resources, having its own theories about how to prosecute this, about how to punish this. But I have come with regard to not only exposing a problem, but also presenting a resolution. And some of it is absolutely necessary, meaning there's no alternative with regard to addressing what is satanic at its core. And it's also criminal with regard to this constitutional construct that we have in this country. Some of it you're not going to be able to avoid. There are certain things we must do in response to what the state is doing. And that's because it's satanic at its core. And that coexists with being a constitutional government, separation of church and state. It's not a violation of that, these legal concepts, to make sure that it is abundantly clear that the state of California, the United States, does not stand for what the state of California is engaging in. And you can say both of those things. You can make that abundantly clear. All right. So anyway, it is currently 1:57 p.m. This is documentation of what the entity has been engaging in, and it's terrorism. The ordinary target individual. These are the ones that I'm advocating on behalf of. They are right now kidnapped somewhere, either in a mental ward, in some sort of psych ward, in a prison, in a jail, in whatever facility where the entity is also group stalking them in those facilities. And they've been criminally defamed in doing so. They have been either alleged, the entity is manufacturing criminal charges against them. The entity has criminally defamed them and manufactured mental illnesses while they're subject to this targeting system. That's what's happening to people right now. And they are subject to that because this is a system that's designed to pluck out those who have, I want to be clear, the spiritual ability to discern what Satan is doing. And Satan knows who you are. This is how you have my ability to go to a different state, for example. I pointed this out already, but I'm going to give another example. I drove clear across state lines to Nevada. And this is how you know that it is spiritual at its core. Okay, so this is just bringing down into the natural an ability to prosecute what Satan is doing through people. Okay, and sought to do in a manner that cannot be perceived naturally, so as to falsely depict that targeted individual as some Looney Tune. All right, as some criminal. However, the entity adjusts the facts based on the facts and the circumstances and the facts as they exist. The entity will use whatever it has in order to put that target individual in whatever light, but it is always the case that it is manufactured. The entity that's engaged in targeting is not targeting those who are actually criminals. That's not why they're being targeted by Satan. Satan's not concerned about those who he already has a grip on. That's not who he's targeting. He's not worried about those. He's worried about those that he can't control. He's worried about those whom he knows do not belong to him. You're talking about the Holy Spirit. And he also knows those who will come to salvation in Christ. You're going to be targeted. You might not be saved yet, but you are going to be saved. You will get there. Satan knows who you are. This is spiritual. This is spiritual at its core. This is how I'm able to travel. This is the natural. We're looking at it in the natural now. I'm able to travel to another state, to Las Vegas, Nevada, and you're looking at the exact same pattern of conduct, which all the aspects of the P.O.C. The light source is a phenomenon. The engineered light is a phenomenon. The demonic features, the demonic behaviors of the people of the state, those are all phenomenal aspects of the pattern of conduct. So you're talking about, which is, in other words, demonic. The demons are targeting those whom they recognize spiritually. Okay, that's being criminalized because directed light is not something that I'm talking about. Well, they're targeting with directed light, and everyone's like, well, what is directed light? No, this is serving for a prosecution. Directed light is an established fact. You can look at the wealth of evidence regarding what is the method of targeting with engineered light. It's not even sunlight. It's not the product of natural light. It's integral with regard to demons who are stalking you, and it is referred to as stalking with light. The entity stalks you with light. The entity stalks you with audible activity. The entity stalks you physically. And then the entity is engaged in surveillance online using communication devices in violation of existing federal statutes, having no constitutional basis whatsoever to keep you under surveillance directly, while masquerading as having any lawful authority at any sheriff's department, police department, or any authority under any sort of, for example, welfare and institutions code, such as hospitals, fire departments, and ambulances, when I'm referencing in that regard. And the entity does so with malice. That's by design. That's by design. And the target individual suffers in silence, because who's going to believe them over the state? Who's going to believe them over the gang stalkers? That's how it's designed. But again, this happening to me is for a reason. And I knew that. I mean, having the combination of both being targeted by the state, but also the Lord preparing me with a legal skill set. So I understand that this literally happened in order for me to speak on behalf of those who this has happened to before. Okay. I recognize that. That doesn't mean it makes it easier. It doesn't mean I like it. It doesn't mean any of that, but it means accepting what it is that the Lord has me to say. And if you don't know me, you probably don't, but if you haven't noticed by now, I will never mince words. I will not hold my tongue. I will speak whatever it is that needs to be spoken. I will never compromise the truth. I will never hold my tongue regarding whatever it is that I'm looking at, whatever it is that they're engaging in, whatever it is that Satan does not want you to know about. That's exactly what I will shout from the mountaintops. That's literally why it's happening to me. And I recognize that. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. The entity is engaging in conduct which is designed to silence and oppress those who are serving as a threat to the kingdom of darkness. And contrary to that, like I stated, the Lord Jesus, he reigns. He's on top. He is king. No one is beside him. No one can contend with him, compete with him at all. And he is actually going to get all of the glory for what he is going, for what is already done, actually, because we're just in time. All right. And so I'm speaking to things that we're going to witness in the natural, but it's already done. It's already done in the spirit. It's already done. It's already accomplished, in other words. That's what I mean by that. All right. And so the entity is engaging in conduct that's designed to target his children. To target, and by his children, I'm referencing God. I'm not referencing the enemy of your soul, Satan. But that's what this is about. And so you will have a lot of charlatans, counterfeits, that want to falsely depict themselves, and now they will openly do so because of what was supposed to never be exposed. And I'm talking about this group stalking system. And so since it is, again, to a degree to where you can't deny it, I'm literally going to prosecute. So the federal group stalking and monitoring, gang stalking, group stalking, state organized stalking, whatever you want to call it, it's a fact. And so now at this juncture, Satan will engage in what is counterfeit conduct. Oh, I'm being gang stalked, and you're supposed to gang a whole bunch of perspective about the person who's being subject to a satanic system that's supposed to imply that they are not of that condition. These are all the ways in which Satan is engaging in what is an ongoing method of deception, and it doesn't work. It doesn't matter, and it doesn't work. And it's nothing that the children of God need to be consumed with. You're just being made aware of that which Satan never intended you, was literally desperate that you would never find out about. And while it's happening to me, it is a threat to you. Okay. And I'm talking about the entity engaging in this conduct against any person. If it's and that's with regard to the law. You need to understand, with regard to the Constitution in this country and what we're supposedly built on, even though the entity is literally abusing laws that it does not actually respect or operate under, the reality, and I still contend the fact that if it's happening to any American citizen, then it can happen to you. And essentially, if it's happening to them, it is happening to you. But I'm going to digress off of that point, and I'm just stating that what the entity is doing in the unnatural environment, it is a real-time reaction to what it is aware of is being published, and why you're dealing with a bunch of inept minions who are very deceived. Now, they've been deceived under grave circumstances because you're literally going to be prosecuted under natural law for your demonic behaviors. When you want to, for no legitimate reason whatsoever, there is no legitimate reason to target someone. There's no reason to engage in that. But this is something that's supposed to be happening in the dark. It's supposed to be something that's supposed to cause someone to suffer in silence. And I just want to be clear: it's not limited to the hailstorm that immediately occurs as I'm publishing videos onto YouTube. It's the entity engaging what is isolated earthquakes, as I've put it, the ongoing manifestations, if you will, of the demonic. You have Holiday Inn is going to compensate for that ongoing terrorism that they're subject to. So you're draining the pockets of this terrorist. I'm going to drain their pockets. And it's not because I'm looking for a lottery. It's because this is the very conduct that's going to be punished severely under federal law. Severely. As severe as their time in federal prison for engaging in the pattern of conduct. And you have the audacity to try to make $1 while doing it. These are the aspects of the P.O.C. that need to be, first of all, exposed and also very severely and intensely punished to deter. To deter. That's why. That's also a goal of federal prosecution, of federal legislation, deterrence. All right. So I just want to make sure that I speak to that. The entity is engaged in the ongoing P.O.C. and doing so while I want you to listen to that phone call. I'm not making up anything about the sounding of an alarm. Somehow the hailstorm caused a fire alarm to go off. No smoke, no flame, but the fire alarms are going off. And nonetheless, even if, let me be clear, because I've already pointed out, even if there's actually a fire, the fact that the fake sun is rising and setting at the hotel will never supersede the pattern of conduct that has already been established. The entity engages and goes to such regards as though that's going to rebut the evidence of the P.O.C., and it doesn't. And this is the end of Satan controlling the narrative. And who is Satan? Satan happens to be the state of California that's engaged in criminal surveillance. The context is that it's demonic. Okay, so it is currently 2:06 p.m. This is documentation regarding what is going to be observed. As on this date, I am uploading evidence onto the venue of the internet, which is a third-party facilitating venue online onto YouTube. Is the website that I'm currently putting on. It's not the only website, but this is the one where I'm putting all my evidence up first. But it's actually not. It's also on the Google Drive, which is currently available, and you can look at the evidence up to date, because when I publish my podcast, I am now, as of late, been including the link so that you can see the evidence that was captured on a particular day, every day, actually. So for what's published for podcasts, if I publish podcasts for the date of September 8, 2024, which obviously I am, you're listening to it, the link of all the evidence captured, everything that I captured in evidence, the visible evidence, in other words, which is evidence that's going to be submitted in federal court against the state of California, it is shared in a link for you to witness. You can look at it yourself. And it's also going to be, as soon as possible, published onto YouTube. Okay, so as of right now, as far as the date, I am at July 21st and progressing. And the entity literally freaked out and a hailstorm results. But remember, not only is this fear that Satan communicates, but it's also, this is a mentally unstable entity. And that is a real safety concern, because there are millions of people that surround me, and they're of that same, these are demons, and they're all freaking out together. And it is also reasonably deduced from the demonic environment that they're stalking me in. So you are going to analyze all of that, and you're going to recover for it. And you're also going to suffer the consequences, meaning the entity is going to be prosecuted for that. All right. And so the entity is engaging in real-time change of the environment, using the alarms in response to rain. Okay, whatever. But nonetheless, it's light activity and audible activity. That's what it is. And demons that are pacing. And you're not forgetting the fact that they were demons before. They're still demons when a fire alarm goes off. So you're recognizing and always mindful of how are the elements being satisfied, because that's what the demons are always doing. They're engaging in elements. All right. It is currently, again, 2:09 p.m. at 9750 Key Point Avenue. You will see on camera, the surveillance cameras on the third floor, a demon group stalking outside of the hotel, my hotel room, by using a vacuum, which is audible activity and demonic pacing. Doing so while, again, an ongoing vigorous and obsessive and very psychotic desire to maintain elements of monitoring. I mean, you're group stalking somebody who has already lost, when you have already lost your whole purpose to secretly target someone. So at this point, this is when you are faced with the own reality regarding your own condition, regarding your own depraved condition, your own mental illness, because what are you at this point, what actually are you accomplishing? You're not silencing. You're certainly not accomplishing what the target individual is supposed to be thinking about themselves. And none of this is happening. Okay. You to the contrary, are faced with the reality of what you actually are and what you are actually doing, even if you deny it and try to create so much audible activity that you can't hear your own thoughts. There's no avoiding it, and no one else in the world is going to miss it either. The whole world is witnessing the outing of the state of California that's engaged in highly criminal and extremely malicious, very satanic, demented conduct. All right. And I am not the only person that has been subject to it. Unfortunately, those that are subject to it, they are currently right now sitting around kidnapped somewhere, or they are buried under the ground, 6 feet under. And that's just the reality. And that's also why the punishment, the consequences are so severe, because the government is group stalking you for the purpose of either taking your life, intending to cause you to suffer so much that you contemplate taking your own life, and then also to kidnap you. If they don't take your life, then it's essentially the same thing, taking your life and defaming you and drugging you up every day when you don't suffer from any mental illness. That's taking your life, so that you're literally a vegetable. That's the entity that wants to do that. And that's Satan that uses people. That's Satan's desire for you. And also, or being, and while they're doing that, they're group stalking you. The demons are calling themselves the medical workers, your psychiatrists. They're coming in and doing checks on you and checking. Those are all demons. While they're diagnosing and medicating you, they're the same ones who are group stalking. Remember, group stalking is demonic activity. And how do I know this? Because I'm literally analyzing what is criminal conduct. This criminal conduct is also demonic. And you are understanding the evidence of that, which I have also personally captured. While the entity sought to engage in all this amongst me, I know it firsthand. Okay. So this is the entity that's engaging in that ongoing obsessive P.O.C. and doing so at this point to its own demise. So you have those that are, if they were not aware of how desperately they need the Lord Jesus, because they are very sick, and to a degree to where you're facing it yourself. You are surrounded by evidence, which you're going to answer for, but you're not harming to the degree that the entity intends to. So when you have met the end of the road, when you've met the brick wall, if you will, with regard to whatever your motive is supposed to be, and you're continuing, there you are met with your own mental illness. Okay. And mental illness is nothing than a natural way of addressing what is your condition, demon possessed. In other words, you need Jesus. You need deliverance. Okay. And this is what the entity is doing. A bunch of demons are pacing all around, and they drag children into this. They are doing so while they are focused on a person, and that person is me. They're not focused on children. They're not focused on police work. They're not focused on putting out any fires, going anywhere. They're group stalking. And for you to understand that reality with regard to a demon possessed population, that's very, very sick to have a group that is the state of California that's engaging in that. They're focused on that. That also puts your priorities into, that also helps you check your priorities, rather, because you have been also distracted and conditioned to think that you need to be focused on getting money, on gaining followers, on focusing on this and gaining that, when Satan is focused on you. He is focused on you and hoping that you stay distracted, hoping that you don't recognize your destiny and who you are in Christ and who he made you to be. Okay. And the fact that the Lord Jesus, he loves you and he died for you and he rose from the grave from you so that you can have the free gift of salvation, so that you are not a slave like the rest of these demons who are being prosecuted in the natural. Okay. They are bound in bondage in what is pathetic conduct. Pathetic. It's pathetic. And you're thinking that life is about X, Y, and Z. And let me be clear, these demons who are already bound up, okay, Satan's just using them like prostitutes. They are hoping that you do not wake up and become made aware about what life is actually about. And it starts with the Lord Jesus. And all of that is relevant to what the entity is doing, the environment that's engaged in rapidly changing. Okay, the fake sun arrives and then disappears. And by disappear, it's not going anywhere. Clouds cover it up and it's still right there over my head. And we can juxtapose that with wherever you're at in this country, because we are not standing under the same object. That's not the sun. And it's also not the sun because it's over me all day long. And that's how you know the person that you're looking at in front of you is a demon and they're stalking. They also engage in demonic behaviors, your ability to identify that. That is serving to help you, whoever it is that's listening, and you know the Lord, take this back to the Lord in prayer. This is for your own information so that you can walk in wisdom with regard to the times that we are in for your own safety. All right, it is currently, again, 2:14 p.m., 2:15 p.m. now, and this is P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 4:50 p.m. I just want to make sure I document sexual violence that Jose, the third party whose audible activity you heard documented on this podcast. He is engaging in a sex offense along with the rest of the demons who are group stalking by virtue of providing their ID and credit card and or debit card, checking into hotel rooms, engaging in the perpetual sex offense with the state of California by maintaining presence at a crime scene, which is Holiday Inn, not a legitimate business. And the entity engages in the sexual violence of waiting until you're in a private space, such as the restroom, waiting until your genitalia is exposed, legs open, in those types of predatory, that's a predatory mindset, those types of positions to engage in what is demonic, meaning it's not even naturally occurring, meaning you're deliberately engaging in that while you're being documented, meaning you are deliberately engaging in what is a supernatural occurrence for a criminal purpose and also to sexually violate. All right. So I want to make sure that I document that. The entity is hostile because I am right now currently, again, downloading more videos, which I'm going to publish onto YouTube. And you're dealing with psychopaths, you're dealing with violent sex offenders who want to, on the news, they want to show you their selfies, they want to show you their credentials, whatever it is that they think will make it seem as though they're not sex offenders, that they're not demon possessed, that they don't worship Satan, that they're not criminals, that they're not closeted psychopaths, all of which is legally irrelevant. And it also has nothing to do with what you know, has to do with the high level deception that Satan employs when he is targeting you. And Satan is indeed targeting people in this country. So I want to be clear, amplified audible activity, which is a demonic occurrence. This is relevant to terrorism that Holiday Inn is going to be prosecuted for. Holiday Inn is a domestic terrorist. Holiday Inn is a sex offender. That's just exactly how corporations who are to be treated as persons and also engaging in terrorism with the corrupt states are going to be prosecuted. And that's also basis for civil recovery. And the third party, by the way, it's literally going under the name of every third party that's engaging in terrorism. And so the entity is engaging in amplified audible activity and waits until the moment I go inside of the restroom with regard to communicating a threat. Amplified audible activity is a threat. They're monitoring, and sex offenders like to monitor you in sexually violent manners, and which is revealing a predatory and sexually motivated purpose when you're not even in custody of a phone. Okay, so this is, again, a sex offender has that sort of mindset. A sex offender wants to sexually torment, sexually target you because they're mad. Okay, where does the sexual violence come in? Because you are a sex offender in the first place. So it's just bringing out what's already in you. And I just want to make sure I document that Jose is going to be specifically prosecuted for it. And I'm just mentioning Jose because Jose is the name of the third party. You've seen his face. You've seen him engaging in the elements of monitoring. You've seen his outward demonstration of demon possession while he was vacuuming in the hallway that has engineered light placed on the grounds inside of that hallway, and the fake sun is directly over that window while he's engaging in elements of monitoring, audible activity, relevant positioning, and engaging in federal stalking. He is doing so with the rest of these demons who are group stalking at Holiday Inn at 9750 Key Point. So as I'm documenting this is just one iteration. The entity is engaged in an ongoing sex offense, and I'm prosecuting and I'm documenting a public entity while I name Holiday Inn, while I name Jose, while I name the demons that are all surrounding on the third floor, specifically the demons in room 309, the demons in room 310, the demons in room 307, where the entity is concentrating amplified audible activity. All of the demons are pacing in and out of their rooms, by the way, and all they do is close their doors. They even keep their doors cracked for purposes of a demon's ability to close the door at the same time that you're uploading, close the door at the same time you stand up, close the door at the same time you sit down, or the moment that you're falling asleep. This is what demons know about you, and that's how focused they are on you. And you also know that about not only stalking you, but also monitoring you because of the fake sun that rises and sets, because of the real-time change of the weather as you publish the evidence of demons engaging in criminal conduct that they're going to be prosecuted for. As you put it on the internet, rapidly the weather will change around you. I want to be clear, these are also sex offenders, so I want to make sure I publish this onto the video of the internet because you need to know. What else do you know? While I'm documenting sexual violence by a corporate name, a company name, I'm documenting sexual violence by a population of people. I'm documenting sexual violence by a public entity, and I'm documenting sexual violence which those that are in leadership positions are also engaging in. They are also fully in that same exact condition, closeted sex offenders, closeted psychopaths, closeted demon-possessed stalkers. And that's not being hyperbolic whatsoever. This is a satanic system, and the chief of police, San Bernardino County, Hesperia in particular, has a San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department is the police agency, if you will. This is a terrorist organization, not a legitimate law enforcement agency, and that's how they're going to be treated also, while I'm documenting their sexual violence, while the entity is group stalking with them, okay? And demons are obsessed with my genitalia. That makes up what the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department is filled with. That's what makes up Jose, who's working at a crime scene, and Jose, who's checking in all the demons that are group stalking with him at this hotel. They're all going to be prosecuted together, and that's the reality of what Satan is and how Satan uses people. Okay, so you are surrounded by a population of sex offenders, closeted sex offenders. If they have not ever been prosecuted in the natural, that is for sexual violence, the P.O.C. is revealing what the closeted sex offenders are actually engaged in, where their mind is at, and it's perverted and it's sexually motivated while they are obsessively stalking you, hoping that you never figure that out. And that even if you do, the entity is intending to, if not take your life, criminally defame you and have you locked up in a facility so that no one ever hears you. No one ever listens to you. No one even ever gives way for you to report it, because the entity seeks to discard you from society. So I want to make sure that I expose that sexual violence. This is an act of terrorism, which you're going to be you're going to civilly recover for that. And I'm talking about the ordinary target individual. I am laying out the ways in which you're prosecuting, the ways in which you're legislating around what is the government systems that's occurring in the United States, where the state governments are keeping American citizens under surveillance, and civil recovery is built into that, and all the ways in which the entity is engaging in demonic methods of tormenting and also sexual violence. And this is a sex offense committed by a whole population, the entity, which is again a never before legislated, never before contemplated basis of sexual violence. Okay, so you're talking about the heights. All right, there's no dollar amount that you can put on that, but justice requires that it will be approached. All right, so I just want to make sure I document that. It's 4:57 p.m. Well, that's the evidence of what is nothing other than demons that fill the hotel, demons that are together collectively consumed with what's going on with my genitalia. And the fact that that's the reality, the fact that the target individual is aware of that, you're going to be compensated even for that. It's relevant to the emotional distress, the psychological harms, the tangible and intangible damages that the ordinary American citizen is suffering, while a satanic entity is group stalking you. These are the prices that will be paid for engaging in that criminal system. And it's 4:58 p.m. This is P.O.C. Okay, it's currently 6:37 p.m. The ongoing harms that the target individual suffers while an entity is engaged in corporate invasion of privacy, is engaged in surveillance on the internet, is engaged in what is surveillance wherever it is that you're at, whatever it is that you're doing at all times, it's built in. So one of the harms that I want to make sure I specify, you have, again, while I'm on the top floor of this hotel, in other words, there's no hotel room above me where you're going to hear any stomping, like someone is walking above you, which is also not going to be the ordinary experience when you're in a hotel as well. Just want to point that out. And it's also occurring where the sun is rising and setting at this hotel, where you have impossible light appearing on the walls throughout the entirety of the hotel room that you saw at nightfall at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's not caused by any street lamps outside. This is where you have seen the impossible light activity, meaning into the depths of this hotel, both through the back and through the front. The upright shadows, the flashing of impossible light activity, the light underneath the structure at the entrance doors. This is all manner of what is evidence of stalking with light, where surveillance is underway, and invasion of privacy also with regard to the use of any and all debit cards, credit cards, all my information, what it is that I'm purchasing, who I'm purchasing from, the source of delivery, whether it's going to be shipped, whether it's going to be brought to my door, even the entity that is engaging in what is the elements of monitoring while they are invading privacy. This is what Holiday Inn is going to compensate for. Okay, a company is engaged in federal stalking. That's also engaged in companies going to be prosecuted for invading my privacy, and my private information is public while this entity is engaging in that, which again, the state of California is engaging in. Holiday Inn is going to compensate me for those harms. They're also going to be criminally prosecuted for it. So that's what demons are doing. I want to make sure I document that at 6:59 p.m. while the entity is amplifying. Remember, amplification is demonic. It's audible activity under all circumstances. It's also demonic. So there's no person in room 310 or in room 307 who is walking. Not only is there not enough space to engage in that sort of activity creation, but there's no walking that they're doing adjacent to me or in the hallway that's going to create that sort of boom, boom, boom. There's no room above me. There's no walking underneath on the second floor that's going to be heard inside of my floor on inside of my hotel room. This is audible activity. It is amplified audible activity at that. It's occurring. It's a part of maintaining a specific environment. And the entity is engaging what is violating my privacy, which again, the entity is going to compensate me for it, and they will also be criminally prosecuted for it. Just want to make sure I include that. 6:39 p.m. and I am taking screenshots while the entity is engaging in this criminal surveillance on the venue of the internet. The people of the state also, those that don't even have high school degrees, they cannot even pay their rent while they're group stalking at a hotel, for which they'll be criminally and prosecuted for. And I'm just giving an example. It does not matter what your income level is. You're going to be criminally prosecuted for this series of very serious federal offenses. And while they cannot pay me, they will be criminally prosecuted, and the entity is going to compensate me for all of that entity that's invading my privacy together as one. I just want to make sure that that's clear. It's 6:40 p.m. This is P.O.C. In particular, the demon that's group stalking this is an obsessed demon possessed person that is stalking a woman. I'm a woman. I don't know the sex of this demon, but they're stalking a woman, and this is a psychopath that's using the microwave, which the beeping of the microwave is heard in my hotel room. That's amplified audible activity. They're doing so again. This is also a hostile psychopath who's using that means of audible activity, and it's also harassment by demons who engage in this conduct. These are the delusional psychopath, and I'm literally interpreting the defeated mindset of mentally inept and inferior gang stalkers who are being surrounded with evidence, and it's pathetic. That's why I'm laughing. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it is pathetic. But the entity is amplifying the sound of a microwave, the closure of that microwave door, and doing so while then stomping is heard inside of my hotel room. And the fact that there is a person in a hotel room adjacent to you does not mean that you're going to hear them walking, that you're going to hear them operating the microwave. This is not how hotel rooms are structured. This is not the experience that you're paying hundreds of dollars for. This is what an entity is doing, again, with regard to not only monitoring you, and then the demon does the same thing to harass you. And the entity is doing it to me because these are a bunch of hostile and defeated demons. So in other words, sore losers who are literally going to compensate for everything that they continue to do, as I clearly articulated in the documentation, and I will also clearly articulate it in federal court. The impunity with which the entity acts as well is also relevant. So I want to make sure that I document in particular the impossible audible activity that the demon group stalking in room 309 310 specifically, which is to the right, is the entity that's engaging in what is stalking with audible activity. That's a demon who's not even engaging in anything normal. Everything that they're doing is based on what that demon knows that I'm doing. And that's the mental illness that demons don't want you to know that they have. And that's maintaining room. And Jose and the rest of the demons that are going to federal prison are checking the likes of those sex offenders inside of this hotel to engage in criminal conduct on behalf of the state. Okay, so that's a hefty recovery that the ordinary American citizen is subject to. The likes of that knows your credit card numbers, and knows what you're doing with regard to the sex offender that's literally pacing as you walk around, move inside of your room. That demon is pacing, and their psychotic conduct is quote unquote hidden while you can't see them pacing back and forth. But that's exactly what that demon is doing. All right. And that's just that one. That's group stalking in room 310. So the entity is going out of its way. And that's what this is in room 310. This is a psychopath that's group stalking. Their credit card number, their ID, their presence on surveillance cameras, their use of the key cards is all a matter of information that's going to be produced. But it's also a matter of the business records of this crime scene. So Holiday Inn's engaging what is the gathering of evidence, which is working for my prosecutorial purposes. And they will be produced and they're going to be prosecuted. I want to make sure that that's understood. While they are monitoring documentation, the entity engages in more of that. Everything that the entity is doing is serving a criminal purpose. So they are doing so with real-time knowledge as well. So I just want to point that out. The operation of the microwave, the open and closing of the door of that microwave, because we are in the same building, because you're in a hotel room adjacent, does not make it the fact that I should be able to hear you breathing and what you're watching on the television. These are all means of amplification. And it's as impossible as the sound of the traffic outside, the demons that are group stalking on the roads and the highways. And none of the aspects of the state of California's criminal pattern of conduct is going to go without being punished. So in other words, the entity is not getting away with anything. The entity will suffer every aspect of the criminal conduct that it continuously engages in. All right. So I want to make sure that I point that out at 6:45 while a demon is stalking by using a microwave. And that's how psychotic the demon possessed are. They're not even heating up their food in a microwave because they're hungry. They're using a microwave as a means of targeting you with audible activity. This is very psychotic. So this is the mind state that I want to make sure I spell out. You need to understand how demon possession works, how the demon possessed are focused on you while they want to appear as though productive. Everything that they're doing is about you. And you know that because of the demonic environment, because of the character of the activity that they're engaging in. The character is that which you're able to perceive, and it's impossible that you would be able to perceive it. The level at which you're able to perceive it is speaking to the fact that that's a psychopath and a sex offender that's group stalking you. Okay, there's a price tag for that, and there's also time in federal prison that's owed for that. I just want to point that out again. It's 6:46 p.m. P.O.C. Alrighty, I want to give some context regarding demon possession, and this is terrorism. While your invasion is being, your privacy is being invaded, and while federal stalking, that is surveillance on the internet, is all underway. So I want to break this down. What you will see is a screenshot that I just captured on the Google Drive. You'll see it captured at 6:49 p.m. And what you will also see is that's the time that I received a text message on my phone. That's the same time that I completed an order on the internet with simultaneity. This is the formula. This is understanding and recognizing the demon possessed who are stalking you, monitoring you, and they're doing it in the demonic environment. Okay, so this is the focus of a demon that's in room 310, whose, again, presence is nothing other than the veneer, okay, under which Satan is engaging in monitoring. Satan is monitoring you, the demonic spirits that are on people that surround you. And there is a specific code of conduct that is always being complied with. And this is how you're looking at the demon possessed who are group stalkers. So, it's shared with police departments. So they like to engage in it by wearing badges and using police vehicles and using helicopters. And you will see the identical code of conduct. It's called the pattern of conduct. And these are the demon possessed. So the time is relevant because it's like clockwork. So I complete my order online. I completed an order. This is all public information. All right. And this is why also the protection of the target individual who's documenting and publishing it onto the internet, because any and everything that's occurring in that target individual's life is a matter of evidence regarding the truth, as opposed to the narrative that demon possessed and corrupt entity will propose regarding whatever happened to the target individual. And when your life is being documented, which is necessary because the government is conspiring literally in real time to murder and kidnap you. So documentation is serving for an ongoing timeline regarding what the entity is doing, and it's also prosecuting them based on the evidence of their group stalking. So the entity is engaging in what is stalking in the path, and so this is a demon in room 310. And so if you can, in your mind, understand what is adjacent rooms. So the room next to me, and it's not just 310, 307, 309 is in front. The entity is group stalking in the sky space. The entity is group stalking on Main Street, on Key Point. They're pacing all around. This is all group stalking, but we're going to focus on the demon in room 310 for now. This is one that's acting directly, and by directly, I don't mean the term of art with regard to government conduct. The government acts directly through police departments that are actually terrorist organizations, through sheriff's departments, through fire departments, etc. That's direct action, right? The government that is demon possessed, that's engaging in criminal activity, wanting to appear as though they're engaging in some official act relevant to their duty, to what their position is. That's direct state action. Vicarious state action is done through the people of the state. So this is direct insofar as this demon in room 310 is personally engaging in what is conduct on behalf of an entity. That's what I mean by direct. Everything that I'm stating, there is a term of art with regard to understanding and defining federal group stalking and monitoring, which is a government criminal pattern of conduct. So this demon in room 310 is right next to me. In other words, there's a wall that separates us, okay? And contrary to the audible activity, and contrary to the maintenance of the light source, it's not a paper thin wall. And also this hotel building does not take up the entire well, I would say the entire East Coast into the West Coast, because the light source is literally rising and setting at this address. And so this is what is so absurd about the demons' pattern of conduct and how they are literally surrounded by evidence. They're no longer cockroaches crawling around in the dark. They have the spotlight on them. Literally under their own fake sun, they are caught red-handed, engaging in a malicious government system. So this demon with simultaneity, and this is why I'm pointing out the screenshot of the text message, and this is what you'll see. It's 6:55 p.m. right now. So let me arrange this so I can look at it on my phone and narrate it to you at the same time. So again, the immediacy of a text message that I receive at 6:49 p.m. I am completing my order online, which is public information. Okay. You're essentially ordering any and everything you're purchasing. You're shopping with it's the entity. You're always dealing with the entity that's keeping you under surveillance, first of all. But aside from that, I'm on the internet. Title 18 conduct is underway and understanding surveillance online. And this is, again, Holiday Inn is going to compensate for this. The entity is profiting off of conspiring to murder and kidnap American citizens. That profit is something which is literally going to be turned over. You're going to drain the pockets as a means of also punishing the entity for engaging in this criminal activity and then capitalizing on it. It's tantamount to being compensated by the state for acting with it to conspire to murder and kidnap them. And you can imagine in your mind, and even if you can't, the federal government, then in the rest of the world, those that are at a level where you can imagine in your mind the ways in which that sort of criminal system can be incentivized by the state. And it occurs through many ways. For example, the provision of any sort of government funds to provide any sort of assistance to your business or approval of any licensure or et cetera, just giving you the ways in which this sort of criminal system is incentivized. And we are given a different narrative regarding what is occurring and why it's occurring, whatever payment, whatever approvals. The government is engaging in and facilitating this criminal system. And the entity is in many ways incentivized to engage in it. And a direct purpose of federal legislation and federal prosecution is to gorge. That is to literally drain, deflate the pockets off of the entity that is making money while conspiring, actively engaging and conspiring against an American citizen to murder and kidnap them. You are losing all of that money. They're literally profiting. And the government in that position is in a position to also incentivize that sort of price, if you will, placed on an American citizen's head, because they're doing it on behalf of the state. So anyway, aside from that, I want to make sure, just aside from going into the purposes behind the federal policies that are necessary with regard to punishment and exposure, simultaneity of conduct. This is how you're recognizing the demonic. This is how you're recognizing the pattern of conduct of group stalking, which is demonic activity. The moment that I complete a transaction on the internet, at the same less than 60 seconds later, I receive a text message on a cell phone, a communication device. Okay. And with simultaneity, two things are occurring in the specific environment, and the things that are occurring are also a part of maintaining that specific environment. Demonic pacing is also creating light activity. And it's also engaging in what is relevant positioning. This is a demon that's crossing path at the same time I'm receiving a text message. And as they are walking, remember, you're going to prosecute the demons for that which is going to be, the entity engages in demonic activity. It's supposed to be explained away. It's supposed to appear normal in the natural. So while you're walking in your hotel room, it's creating loud, thunderous boom, boom, boom in my hotel room. That's called amplified audible activity, which is occurring at the same time that the demon in room 310 is crossing path, group stalking at the same time I'm receiving a text message. As I have explained from the beginning, the demonic behavioral pattern is that which the entity is engaging in activity creation with simultaneity to my physical movements and or activity on a communication device. This is what demons are capable of engaging in. Demons that don't have to know your name, you don't have to address them, they don't have to look at you, they don't have to be facing your direction, they don't have to be in the same building. They're doing that at the High Desert Gateway Shopping Center. We're not even in the same, I'm not even physically looking at any of them. This is what demons are doing. Okay, this is demonic. Okay, so I just want to be clear, while an entity does this, it's occurring at the same time my communication device is in operation. The simultaneity of conduct is not a coincidence. It's also not a coincidence because it's happening over and over again. That's called, clinically referred to as a pattern. You are also recognizing that it's unreasonable to suggest that it's merely a coincidence that's happening over and over again in a very specific environment, a specific environment that is so phenomenal. It's a scientific impossibility. This is where the sun rises and sets, and you have a series of coincidences, okay? So the demon, this is a mentally ill person that's engaging in a sex offense for which they're going to federal prison. And this mentally ill person is engaging in what is using objects in their room to stalk with noise while that demon knows that I'm physically touching my leg. Only a demon does that and knows that and engages in that. Okay, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. They do the same thing with regard to evidence that will be produced in court. Not only my direct testimony, not only this documentation, but their use of the key cards, their entrance and exits and movement around on surveillance cameras, the transactions that they engage in the hotel. It's all relevant to that same ongoing knowledge. And that's just one demon. Understand the whole population is working with that same real-time knowledge. You're not looking, it's akin to looking at a colony of ants. It's just that demons are more disgusting than ants. Okay. They're akin to like black slimy maggots. And they are creeping around with real-time knowledge about the targeted person who does not have the spirit of Satan on them. That's the one who they're stalking. That's the one who they're monitoring. And their very movements and all of the exaggerated noise level and the exaggerated environment that's created while they engage in that activity is showing their focus on that person, because it's occurring with simultaneity to that person's movement, the simultaneity to whatever activity that person who's being targeted engages in. And likewise, as I get a text message at 6:49, this demon is walking. And how do I know that? Because you shouldn't. In hotel rooms that you're paying money for are not designed that when any person is walking, it's going to disturb you. It's going to create an earthquake. It's going to be heard. And this is what the entity is engaging in, and it's occurring with simultaneity. So I want to point out, I'm breaking down terrorism. Okay. So, and it's terrorism while demons are stalking you, while demons are obsessively pursuing you, while demons are engaging in any manner of activity creation based on what you do. That's terrorism. Okay. And this is, again, what the entity is doing. And this is not I Am Legend. I did not sign up to be in a movie. All of the living dead who are the demon possessed are obsessively stalking. Okay. And then they like to do so while bearing badges. Understand why those particular demons, they're going straight to federal prison. Okay. The people of the state that like to act with impunity, which is what an entity is doing as it acts amongst the masses. Those demons, those mentally ill psychopaths and closeted sex offenders, who share the same condition as the people that bear badges, okay, they're going to federal prison as well, okay? This is revealing what is very much a public safety concern, okay? So this mental illness, I'm breaking it down, and you are able to understand this mental illness as I'm letting you know what demons are doing and their motive behind what they do at the moment that they do it. Okay, and so this is what an entity is doing, and this is irrelevant to what I captured a screenshot of. And this is why, again, Jose is going to federal prison. It's terrorism while they fill their hotel rooms with the demons that are of the same condition as him. Okay, filling the hotel room with demons in order on behalf of the state of California while making $1, which is what Holiday Inn represents, terrorism, profiting off of terrorism in the U.S., doing so with impunity, engaging in federal stalking, committing a sex offense as a corporate actor. All of this is going to be recognized under federal law, and they're doing so while a population is enabled to do so. So this is speaking to actually what is supporting sacrificing American citizens. That's what Holiday Inn Express and Suites represents. That's what Holiday Inn Express and Suites supports. Okay. And this needs to be known. The reputation of these corrupt companies is it's shown through their own criminal engagement in the state's pattern of conduct. And all I'm doing is making sure that it's placed on at an elevated volume level so that the world is aware of it, because there are many who do not serve Satan and who will not support anything that Satan is a part of. And it includes Holiday Inn Express and Suites. Okay. They employ the demon possessed. They are owned and operated by the demon possessed. They are providing their patrons are the demon possessed who are engaged in this criminal system. They're criminals. Remember, with regard to a prosecution, the demon possessed are criminals. They're defendants. They're literally witnessing their exposure / prosecution. Okay. So this is what is being captured in screenshots. And so this is what you'll see in the time frame is what's relevant. 6:49 p.m., I receive a text message, a demon that's group stalking me in an adjacent room. The impossible noise creation, which is amplified audible activity and sensational activity, that any sort of vibration or shaking of the room is going to occur because you're walking, which shouldn't be something that I'm perceiving in the room. It's occurring at the same time I'm receiving a text message while they are crossing path going to, and this is the only reason why I know what you're doing in a hotel room adjacent to me. My talking at this volume level is not something that's going to be ordinarily heard adjacent. But when you are surrounded by demons who are focused on you, you can be whispering and the demons know exactly what you're stating. In addition to that, not only is the fact that these are demon possessed, I want to be clear, the state that's group stalking you, they are literally employing technological devices, satellites and whatnot, things that you can also, that doesn't have anything to do with the demonic. It has to do with the technology that is included in criminal surveillance. They're using both. But let me be clear, a demon doesn't need a microphone, doesn't need a satellite to know what it is that you're talking about, to know what you're physically doing inside of a room that they're not sharing with you. This is just the reality. Okay. So I want to point that out. And this is relevant to what is, again, terrorism. The entity that's group stalking in room 310 represents the people of the state. And that's just one method of stalking with activity. Relevant positioning at the same time I receive a text message. That's a demon that's pacing. Simultaneity of conduct. That's the identical pattern of conduct, okay? In the specific environment where engineered light, the pattern of the windows covers all of the walls inside of my hotel room at 4 o'clock in the morning, which is never created through any street lamp outside ever. None of that light activity, none of that light, which is ever going to occur inside of your room. It's literally the phenomenon. And that's how also, that is a demon that knows what you're doing. The engineered light is creating a facilitating environment for demons to pace around and maintain an amplified level of conduct that is entirely abnormal. Nothing that they're doing is normal or natural or even human. You're dealing with demon-possessed people. So the spirit of Satan is literally using a body to engage in monitoring. Okay. But again, they're not acting outside of their knowledge. They're not acting outside of their own volition. The demon-possessed are aware in every regard that their criminal conduct is also fully aware because they're listening, lending an ear to everything that I utter about them. And they're also very hostile to it. And only a psychopath engages in more of the criminal to its own demise when it's caught. Only a psychopath does that. So this is the analysis that you're able to look at that yourself. But I'm just going to go ahead and be generous with what it is that is provided with regard to evidence and what is also reasonably deduced from that engagement in that pattern of conduct. And it is an identical pattern of conduct. Okay. That level of obsession by those who want to also criminally defame you as though you are somehow missing marbles when they are in every regard. And that's also how Satan operates. Satan will call you mentally ill when Satan is the one in every regard, could not be farther away from sane. That is Satan, okay? Taking and using people who are engaged in entirely psychotic behavior, sitting in a hotel room stalking somebody, okay? Sitting in a hotel room pacing back and forth. And nothing about them, whether they're 75 pounds or 700 pounds, is going to create an earthquake. But let me be clear, everywhere that I'm going, the entity engages in conduct as though everyone is 775 pounds. This is not a matter of being hypersensitive. It's a matter of paying attention to your surroundings and being able to discern the demonic. And this is providing the evidence which a federal court will recognize with regard to context regarding the crime that the state is engaging in. It just so happens to be demonic. This is how you engage in what is monitoring. Monitoring is surveillance. The government doesn't have any lawful ability to do it. Certainly does not through any demon group stalking in room 310, which the state of California is going to be prosecuted for. They're doing so in an environment where the sun is never going to be present when it's remaining over my hotel, not only my hotel, but it's remaining over the top of my head when I'm at my apartment in Los Angeles, California. And even before that, the entity kept a fake sun over the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, where I would wake up in the morning. Now the sun is rising in alignment to HESPERIA at 9750, and it's setting in alignment to HESPERIA at 9750 key point. That's a scientific impossibility. It's also a scientific impossibility that you're going to have the light activity that I've captured. It's also a scientific impossibility that you're walking anywhere is going to be heard above my head, that you're having any sort of isolated earthquakes when you're on the top floor. This is all speaking to the demonic. Okay. The demons are engaging in Title 18 federal criminal surveillance, And corrupt actors, sex offenders such as Holiday Inn Express and Suites, is going to be prosecuted civilly and criminally for it. All right, you're going to literally drain their pockets. You're going to slice them open and let the prosecution drain all of those funds out of those companies. And it is justice that they don't even survive after their reputation is naturally destroyed and their conduct, their criminal engagement in this criminal system on behalf of the state is fully exposed and a subject matter of a federal prosecution. That's justice. They are acting to murder and kidnap American citizens and then standing to make money while doing it. That's what this demon in room 310 represents. That is the shared condition of the many, many millions of the people of the state that I've been documenting as I go from city to city, county to county, even state to state. Okay, and that's a terrorizing reality, which you're going to be compensated for, and is going to be a subject of criminal prosecution. So just wanted to expound upon that. The receipt of a text message resulting in what is a psychopath, that's a demon-possessed person, crossing path, which is, again, coexisting with amplified audible activity. And not only am I hearing you walking, but it's creating some sort of vibration. This is demonic. The simultaneity of that conduct occurring with my operation of a communication device is demonic. The fact that these are all demons where the sun is rising and setting at the same address, that's these are all demons. They're group stalking. All right. It is currently, again, let me see, 7:11 p.m. And the demon whose voice you heard, Jose, you need to understand that he is of the same condition, and that's a violent sex offender, not because he's a male. It's no different. It's no less of a sexually violent threat, no less terrorizing, because females are engaging in the same exact conduct. Females that will tell you they are heterosexual, and they're engaging in stalking a woman who is not. I am not homosexual whatsoever, but they are obsessed with my genitalia. They're obsessed with my every act. They're obsessed with whatever it is that I'm doing. I'm focused on whatever I'm saying, whatever it is that I'm wearing, how I wear my hair and do my nails. And this is just the reality of the demon possessed. And they would claim to you that not only that they're born again Christians and that they're heterosexual. And I want to be clear, their conduct speaks to directly opposite of that. And this is I'm just giving you the ongoing hidden knowledge regarding the demon possessed. And there is no difference between the males who are demon possessed and the females who are demon possessed. And by the way, under the law, there's no different treatment with regard to sex offenders being both female and male. Okay, so I want to make sure that I point that out. The entity is engaging in what is audible activity creation, and this is, again, psychopaths whose conversation is designed to engage in audible activity while they are hostile demons, psychopaths, defeated demons, listening to everything that I'm publishing about them. It's entirely pathetic. It's currently 7:12 p.m., and this is P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 7:15 p.m. Crossing path on the elevators, you'll see on the 3rd floor in order to engage in what is group stalking in engineer light. And the demon in particular that is being documented using amplified audible activity and doing so while monitoring documentation is 306. Okay, 310 is on the opposite side. They are group stalking together, but in particular 306 is the one who is engaging in stalking with amplified audible activity and sensation. So I want to make sure I specify the correct demon who's going to take credit for what the entity is engaging in concert with room 306. It's currently 7:15 p.m. I'm going to document the one that is going to federal prison at the desk, group stalking with the patrons at Holiday Inn. Hi, Carlos. How's it going?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm fine. I actually need a key card. I'm locked out of my room.
Sure.
While I'm here, can I actually let you know the person in room 306, they are engaging in a lot of loud activity, like they're playing music. And I know it's not quiet time hours, but they were like blasting their music. And for whatever reason, I'm hearing them slamming their microwave door repeatedly.
Okay.
Can you address that for me, please?
Yeah, I can look at it.
Thank you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Do you have the keys you need to return? Oh.
No, they're in my room. So you want me to bring them back down or bring something back down to you?
Nah, I'm good.
Thank you. You guys have security here?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. What security company are you from?
Oh, that's well, he's staying here.
Oh, he's a patron. Oh, it's Cal Fire. Here, group stalking. Okay, got it. Cal Fire's back, group stalking. Oh, it's a good thing we're on surveillance cameras because they're going to federal prison. All right, it's currently 7:17 p.m. They're group stalking with the demon in room 306, who's creating thunderous activity while they are walking back and forth to their microwave, engaged in federal stalking and CAL FIRE. You've got, they're walking around on surveillance cameras, engaging in surveillance on cameras here. They're going to federal prison. It's P.O.C. Those are the terrorists that are listening to me publish evidence of their criminal system online. Are you guys' fire trucks in the parking lot too? Carlos Lopez? Yeah? Oh, okay, cool. I love to get pictures of those trucks.
They're awesome.
They're awesome. Yeah, they are. They are awesome. Are you getting on the elevator? Yes. I'm definitely gonna let you go ahead first, sir. Definitely don't want to crowd you. What time is it? 7:17?
Yes.
Okay. You have a great night. P.O.C. 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 That is CAL FIRE, again, group stalking at the Holiday Inn, where you're looking at the audible activity. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go get some more license plates. But that's CAL FIRE engaged in, again, a sex offense with the demons who are group stalking in a hotel room. So I come downstairs, and Carlos, who's going to federal prison, and so are the CAL FIRE. These look like Latino males. One of his name is Carlo Lopez. At least this is the name badge on his chest, while he is representing the state, group stalking at the Holiday Inn, where the entity is engaging in what is demonic pacing, just like what room 306 is engaging in. But the entity was doing that at 4 o'clock in the morning, certainly not sleeping, and pacing, engaging in what is crossing paths on surveillance cameras, which I'm referencing. Referencing surveillance cameras while they're pacing up and down the hallways with the rest of the patrons at the Holiday Inn. All right, this is called impunity, and these are the terrorists that are claiming things such as the need for federal funds every year for so-called emergencies when they're putting out all these fires. And the cause of it is because of the climate and the rapid heat. And these are demons that are domestic terrorists under a fake sun, calling themselves wanting to be looked at as heroes. This is the work of Satan, and a lot of fraudulent transactions are completed by and through CAL FIRE. Just want to point that out with regard to the built-in pattern of conduct when the entity is under a fake sun. And that light source is the cause of what are, or given as the explanation for what is the fires that are occurring every year, okay? And they're acting with, again, the entity that's group stalking the people of the state. I just want to put that out there. So it's currently, again, 7:19 p.m. That is CAL FIRE, who is group stalking downstairs in the lobby, and that's all on surveillance cameras. I just wanted to make sure I include that while I go downstairs and get another key card from my room. And the entity is acting, again, specific with regard to knowledge of what was already published on the internet. And so, and this is also the personalization of that. Nothing is, in other words, random with regard to the specific environment, with regard to the pattern of conduct, with regard to the targeting system. And the entity engages in all of that which it's practicing with specific knowledge. So while 310 is directly engaged in the P.O.C., it's specifically the demon in room 306, whose operation of their microwave is creating amplified noise, the beeping of the microwave, the walking toward the microwave, doing so with simultaneity to my operation of my communication device in my hotel room, which is within the pattern of conduct, okay? This is the demon that's in adjacent group stalking by room 306, and it's currently 7:20 p.m. That's P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 7:22 p.m. going to document federal group stalking and monitoring and federal stalking, which is the commission of a sex offense committed by the state acting directly. This is the California Department of Fire and Forestry, or Forestry and Fire. These are domestic terrorists, and in other words, these are demon-possessed people that work for the CAL FIRE, which is a function of the state that is engaged in group stalking. And they are engaged in surveillance, and doing so also with impunity. And remember, the entity that's being documented is surveilling that documentation, and you are at the specific environment. And so this is the personalization of what is nothing that's coincidental or random. And so the entity goes to the extent to communicate a threat by returning and engaging in group stalking again. So I want to make sure that I document that. This is group stalking by CAL FIRE. I'm going to capture it on video. Alrighty, capturing substantial video right now of group stalking by the state, and that is CAL FIRE engaging in what is demonic. First of all, you're looking at a bunch of demons who were lined up for purposes of group stalking, and they did it on video. So you're looking at and recognizing the elements of monitoring, and you see it underway by the government itself. This is the same entity that is group stalking while I'm in any other county. So CAL FIRE is representing the demons that are affiliated with fire departments. Those are the same demons that engage in using the sound of sirens and lights on their vehicles, exhibiting demon possession while they're group stalking, aware also of what I'm doing. I'm publishing about their conduct online. So you're looking at them bearing badges, recognizing CAL FIRE, and again, as I pointed out, 6 TES 873, molestation with engineered light, while CAL FIRE is being a demon stalking in the path 1611163. This is a demon that's stalking in the vehicle number U3485. That's CAL FIRE that is moving a vehicle around in order to touch me with light. They're going to be prosecuted as a sex offender. Okay, demons that want to touch all over your body, they're engaging in literally the pattern of conduct by the demon possessed in the specific environment. All right, capturing the perpetual sex offense on video right now. That license plate is captured 1612073, vehicle number, looks like TRO2. This is CAL FIRE that I'm documenting. I got it on video, but I'm going to include it on my podcast as well. License plate 1612071, vehicle TR01. These look like ambulances that CAL FIRE is operating. Those are state actors, and they're engaging in a sex offense together. While this one demon is using a vehicle, remember, this is a sex offense committed by an entity. The entity is always engaging in the same exact pattern. You will see them engaging in methods. How can they always engage in what is the identical objective, which is predatory, and it's also sexually motivated. They always want to molest your body. They want to touch your body with light while they're stalking. And demons are obsessively engaged in that. And you see that at work with CAL FIRE. And that's what's captured as I'm at the opposite end of the parking lot. 7YOU461. They're going to federal prison. I've been documenting them systematically. Vehicle U3486, license plate 1662939. That's CAL FIRE. That's the state. License 8TZX988. License MHIMP. That's Nevada. License 9KWT302. This is CAL FIRE, license 1552288. This is ST. I'm going to take a picture of this one second. All right, capturing relevant positioning and demonic pacing. And what's informative about it is you're witnessing, which you saw it if you've seen the Ontario Police Department stalking in helicopters. If you've seen the Fontana Police Department stalking in helicopters, you have seen the Ontario Police Department group stalking in their vehicles where impossible light activity coexists with what is crossing path. You've seen the Upland Police Department group stalking in helicopters. You have seen the Montclair and the Chino Police Department group stalking, even in helicopters. Okay, you have seen the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department group stalking with the state, and including by helicopter. The entity is engaging in group stalking right now by CAL FIRE. All right, and this is the same, again, function of the government where I'm capturing state surveillance, the demonic behavioral pattern at the California DMVs. This is the same entity, the function of the state, the demons that are affiliated with CAL FIRE, which is a function of the state. You can find them literally on the same web, ca.gov. That's with regard to the California Department of Motor Vehicles and the California Fire and Forestry Department. These are demons where state surveillance is underway. They are at Holiday Inn, exhibiting demon possession, engaging in group stalking, and with impunity, because I've already identified specifically Tyler, who's over CAL FIRE. The Fresno is where this CAL FIRE is headquartered, if you will. And the entity is engaging in what is a criminal act of retaliation. That is repeating the criminal conduct that it knows was already published about it. And this is the behavior of demons as well. Okay, not only are you not free to engage in it, the government is coming and repeating it while they know that it was documented, and it's not going to be missed with regard to the removal of that demon, whose name is Tyler. And he has been specifically documented. Actually, let me go ahead and repeat the full name while I am capturing and documenting him, because I'm documenting him and exposing the corrupt and dangerous position that he maintains while demons affiliated with CAL FIRE are engaging in state surveillance, conspiring to murder and kidnap an American citizen, exhibiting demon possession and doing so. There's nothing normal about their being grouped up and walking through the parking lot, about them being in position as I walk out toward the parking lot. Remember, the entity, as you are aware, they're tracking your steps through by virtue of a fake sun that's remaining over me for the duration of the day, anywhere that I go. So they're maintaining getting a room at this venue where that phenomenon is occurring, and they're exhibiting their demon possession in doing so. Joe Tyler is this demon's name. he is going to be removed from the position that he's held. Chief Tyler is a demon-possessed person, a criminal, a corrupt actor, who knows very well that he was specifically identified. The demons that engage in that sort of a communication of a threat to return, let me be clear, what the ordinary target individual suffers in silence, it will be directly punished under federal law and with regard to federal prosecution. The entity is here engaging in what is sexual violence, molesting. They're engaging in sexual violence by group stalking at a hotel in a private space. Okay, doing so while you're looking at demons having multiple shadows, perpendicular shadows, inexplicable by any street lamp. A fake sun remains over the hotel all day long. The light activities has nothing to do with the maintenance of that light source. And then you're aware of what is the behavior exhibiting that demon possession. And then you're understanding that it is the state directly. And that's CAL FIRE. So this is captured on video. And this is what I want to repeat. Joe Tyler. This is a demon. This is a corrupt actor. This is one that is strategically placed by Satan. He serves Satan. Okay, this is a closeted psychopath. This is a closeted stalker. This is a closeted sex offender. And that's why CAL FIRE is here engaging in the pattern of conduct, because that is literally the case. Okay. The entity is acting with the people of the state. I'm going to continue documenting their license plates, and it's 7:38 p.m. License plate 9LUV563. 6RHE 726, 9BVR 441, 7TEZ 899. And I read these license plates. I'm going to read them again. Vehicle VNT3, license 1275938. Vehicle VNT4, license 1612070. That's CAL FIRE. Those are both CAL FIRE vehicles. The people of the state that are group stalking are doing so while they're engaged in federal stalking on the venue of the internet. So I want to be clear with regard to the threat that Joe Tyler poses while maintaining a position over a corrupt government actor such as CAL FIRE, who is filled with demons who are occupying positions that they are disqualified from. It becomes legally relevant. The fact that the entity is engaged in what is not only criminal, but also highly mentally deranged and satanic behaviors. And that's exactly what what federal group stalking and monitoring reveals, and the criminal system of federal group stalking and monitoring itself. Nevada, license 180Z91. And again, Joe Tyler, this is a corrupt actor, and this is a demon-possessed group stalker. This is a mentally unstable, closeted psychopath, sex offender, and group stalker. Want to be clear, is fully engaged in the pattern of conduct in the state. You don't have any coincidences with regard to a pattern of conduct exhibited even as I go outside of the state of California, where you are showing what is a scientific impossibility that the sun would ever rise and set at the same address. And then you are looking at the light activity even at nightfall, and then you're looking at the people in front of you who are engaging in the identical code of conduct, if you will, the behavioral patterns. CAL FIRE is literally exhibiting the fact, yelling from the top of their lungs, by the way, because you are analyzing the express and implied threats by the demons who are group stalking you. And this is what the government is doing under the name of what is CAL FIRE, with knowledge of the fact that they've already been documented engaging in the P.O.C, which they were never free to engage in under any circumstances in the specific environment. So the entity is doing so with specific knowledge, and that's going right back to the demon that was specifically named, and that is Joe Tyler. Okay, license 19176S3, 71791F3, 6UGU219. It's not different from Merced County as well. Merced County was out here group stalking Merced County Fire, and the demon over that fire department. All right, so I just want to be clear, while the entity is keeping a fake sun over me, there's no sun, because there's only one, not 14. So therefore, there is no sun that's going to be rising over the Courtyard by Marriott in Monrovia, California. Okay, while the entity is aware of everything that was published about it and engaging in what is evidence, and the entity, the demons that are inferior. Okay, you can have 0 times 0 times 0, 0 times 2 billion equals 0. And this is the math logic of the demon possessed. They think because they're engaged in gang conduct, they even think because of the positions that they hold that they will get away with it, that there's no way that all of that is a lie out of the pit of hell. Okay, so that includes demons affiliated with CAL FIRE. The demon over CAL FIRE, that is Joe Tyler. Okay, license plate engaging in a sex offense, going to federal prison. Driving a dented up Lexus. This is license plate 9KYC632. They're going to federal prison. 09307G1 8LDH270 4RBNDOG 90227A4. Illinois license plate FP and then 168602. License CY7W67, CY7W6V. 9DFS 959-515-682E. That's Montana. Remember what the entity is doing in a specific environment where your shadow is surrounding your person. That's literally a scientific impossibility. It is as impossible as a sun rising and setting. It is as impossible as the placement of engineered light that's on your ceilings, creating multiple shadows above your head, creating any flashing lights inside of the depths of the building. This is where CAL FIRE is group stalking, with knowledge of what was documented on the published about it to the feds. This is the audacity that CAL FIRE, that Joe Tyler engages in, and he is held responsible. This is a demon that cannot merely claim dereliction of duty while this public corruption is occurring on his watch. Let me be clear, this is a demon that's fully engaged in the state's criminal system. And to communicate such a threat, when you're specifically documented, you can feign ignorance all you want. You can say, it's illegally irrelevant. You're going to be removed, and you will also be prosecuted for any threats that's occurring on your watch. This is how you're going to maintain these demons who are engaged in facilitating by virtue of being any government position, any leadership position, the chief of police. They will be held accountable for the criminal activity that they are engaging in that's occurring on their watch, because they're fully engaged in that. This is criminal conduct. Remember, this is not tortious. All right, this is not merely a trespass. This is not merely just a damage of personal property. This is criminal. This is conspiracy to murder and kidnap American citizens and then obstruct justice while it's being exposed. It's not going to be tolerated. So while you are in that position, you will be held accountable for it. And while the entity is in any way communicating a threat, which is reasonably construed, and it is also impliedly and expressly communicated, when you return after having been specifically documented, specifically named, I named this demon Joe Tyler. And so while the CAL FIRE is here group stalking, engaging in what is molesting my entire body because they're obsessively stalking. When you're in a parking lot at nightfall under any light source, you will not have a shadow surrounding your person. That's speaking to the specific environment. That's a sex offender, in other words, a demon, the same conduct while you're group stalking in an adjacent hotel room, and it's creating a thunderous vibration while you're just walking back and forth to the microwave. As my phone is in operation, this is demonic activity. That CAL FIRE. Demons who are not trusted, they're not trustworthy, and they're currently being trusted, being given federal funds, claiming emergencies every year under a fake sun, claiming that to be the reason why there are fires, that the demons that are the people of the state are setting, and they're making money together. That's what that is. It's called making money. It's corruption. License 9NLX860, PR310 handicap. 59687Z1. Those are the demons that are group stalking. The ones that are claiming to engage in heroic work, putting out fires every week. They're putting out fires that are supposedly the cause of that which isn't even naturally the sun. Okay, that's speaking to an intent to deceive. These demons are group stalking. They serve Satan. They're fully engaged in a whole statewide system, and they get a lot of money doing it. License 1652925, California exempt, 43852N2. And Cyblon Reed, this is a commercial vehicle, CL number 758610, and the license plate is 83260V2. All right, the entity is acting with impunity, group stalking by the state directly, in the same way that any police chief is therefore outed. The whistle is blown when any demon, a part of what is an exposed terrorist organization, as opposed to a legitimate law enforcement agency, that demon that is over that that is in the position as chief of police is thereby exposed. Okay, so the entity is engaging in the same conduct in HESPERIA, where the sun is rising and setting, a scientific impossibility, group stalking by a bunch of demons driving around in fire trucks who have knowledge about what was documented about them and that demon Joe Tyler, who was going to be removed, while they are literally posing a threat to the public. Okay, it's P.O.C. It's people of the state, and it's 7:46 p.m. All right, it is currently 10:30 p.m. and what is captured, just narrating the evidence as it's published onto the Google Drive for you to look at, by the way. It is being published right now as I am documenting. So I just want to be clear, the demons who are the state of California present engaging in a sex offense directly in concert with the people of the state, the demons who do not serve in any government position. They are serving in an unofficial and criminal government position as third parties, group stalking with the state, who was, in other words, at the hotel group stalking and of the exact same condition, that is demon possession. And so this is just documenting the fact that the state is fully aware of the fact that they've been documented. They are aware of every video, image, screenshot that was published onto the internet, and they have been engaged in the criminal conduct with regard to monitoring, that is federal stalking Title 18 criminal activity, while that evidence is being published onto the venue of the internet. And they're group stalking with the demons who are pacing all around, opening and closing, that is slamming, that is crossing path and audible activity and light activity, all while I am in operation of the internet. And if you're not aware, I captured videos showing the spectacular light activity inside of my hotel room, which is absolutely impossible to ever occur under any natural circumstances. It is directly relevant to what you saw CAL FIRE engaging in. And they were engaging in what is outwardly demonstrating the fact that each and every single last one of them are demon possessed. And they were engaging in criminal activity. They were group stalking on video for the world to see. And this is a public entity. This is a function of the state that's engaging in the demonic behavioral pattern. They're doing so with the demons who are the people of the state. And the people of the state have fully shown the fact that they are demon possessed and that they are group stalkers. And it is not different when you're looking at CAL FIRE. And that is, again, the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection. They're domestic terrorists. They are demon possessed group stalkers at the facilitating venue, group stalking in the specific environment, and engaging in what is federal stalking, aware of the evidence that has been captured and published online. That is P.O.C. It's currently 10:33 p.m. Documenting what are the demonic methods of amplified audible activity. This is when nobody's in the middle hallway, nobody's walking in the hallway, which is not an explanation for earthquakes being created, for the sound of somebody in your room stomping while they're in room 306 or in room 310 or walking in the hallway. These are demons. And let me be clear, CAL FIRE is a part of the same demon-possessed entity that's group stalking at the hotel. So the entire entity, they're a bunch of psychopaths that the demons react as they are reviewing what I'm reviewing on the internet. And I'm looking at evidence of what Pasadena was doing, group stalking on the freeway. And the entity is engaging in the demonic behavioral pattern, engaging in what is, it's both monitoring and it's a communication of a threat by mentally ill demons who are keeping you under surveillance online. And they're hostile to what you are publishing online. They are hostile to everything that you speak about them while they're group stalking you, by the way. And so I want to document this. And this is documentation of what is also Holiday Inn. And this is what Holiday Inn is engaging in while demons fill Holiday Inn's hotel rooms, engaging what is demonic. Okay, being on the opposite side of this wall, walking in the room, which, by the way, there's not enough space in here to run anywhere. Running in the adjacent room is not going to create earthquake-like conduct in here. That's called sensational activity. It's also occurring in the environment where you saw engineered light on all of the walls. I had shadows on this wall, shadows on this wall, through what is one window, and the street lamps in the parking lot do not create that light activity. That's speaking to demons who are engaging in surveillance hostile to what they're reviewing is going on my phone in violation of existing federal policies. And that's what CAL FIRE is engaged in as well. That's the state of California that's group stalking at this venue, which is Holiday Inn. Okay, so the documentation as I'm speaking to the front desk is not only the criminal conduct, but I'm putting it on the record what the entity is doing while they are demons, and they are even aware of what I'm saying as I call them. Understand the psychopaths that I'm dealing with. They are aware of the fact of every word that I'm stating, and they know that I'm documenting them as I call them, and that's fine. While the entity is engaging in what is a surefire prosecution for them, this is exposing the mental illness of demons who are group stalking American citizens, so that you are aware of what it looks like, how demons behave, and their outward presentation regarding an ongoing agenda to conceal very serious mental illness, very highly depraved and demonic personality disorders, demon possession. Okay, because that's what surrounds while the entity is creating amplified audible activity as though somebody's above. I'm on the third floor, there's nobody above. Okay, being in the hallway is not creating any earthquakes. That's sensational activity. Being in the room adjacent to you, opening and closing your microwave door and operating it is not going to be heard through the walls as though they're right in here in the hotel room with you. That's amplification of audible activity. Those are demons that are also harassing you because they're hostile to what they're reviewing on my phone in violation of federal stalking statute. Okay, they're doing the same thing while the demons are amplifying the sound of traffic through the hotel room, which you're hearing in here. Amplified audible activity in the engineered light at the venue where the sun is rising and setting. This is demonic activity, which Holiday Inn is going to compensate for. Okay, and everybody working at Holiday Inn who you heard on the podcast, Carlos, he's going to federal prison. Okay, this is P.O.C. documenting ongoing terrorism, which is a perpetual sex offense occurring in a private space with CAL FIRE. Hello. Can I ask who I'm speaking with?
What was that?
I'm sorry, I'm calling from room 308. Can I ask who I'm speaking with?
Oh, Jess.
Jess?
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, is that Jess, J-E-S or J-U-S?
J-E.
Oh, hi, Jess. I'm calling because I'm in room 308, and I don't know if you've got some people that are. I don't. I don't want to assume anything about anyone, but it sounds like someone is going berserk in their room, and it's well beyond the quiet hours. And I told Carlos about this actually earlier today. There was someone that was blasting music. For some reason, it sounded maybe they were running in place because there's nowhere to run in these rooms. They're not that large, but there's someone that's being really loud, or people who are being very loud, loud conversation, and also as though they're running, they're like jogging, and it's really disruptive. So if
Do you know which room it's coming from? Is it like to your right or to your left?
well, the rooms that surround are room 306, and they've been so loud, I surmise it's female, or at least one female. And then you've also got room 310, which is on the opposite side, and then 309, which is directly across from me. So any of those, there is no way that I could hear anything from downstairs, but it is, again, the loud conduct. It's been sounding as though, even though I know that it's physically impossible, but as though someone is hitting what would be my floor, that would be their ceiling, which is impossible, but that's how loud it is. And I just wanted to report that to you because it's really late right now, you know?
That's fine. I'll give a call. It's probably the firefighters training because all of us on that floor is firefighters, so I'll give them a call.
Okay, so the firefighters would be hitting the ceiling, you think?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. So the firefighters are filling the third floor or the second floor?
Third.
The third floor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the firefighters are in the rooms around me in 306 and 310?
Yes. So
Okay, that's good to know also. Thank you very much.
no problem.
All right, Jess, have a good one. Jess is going to federal prison, and the demons, whether they are actually CAL FIRE, they don't have to be in the room next to me. They can be in the room on the first floor in the corner where I captured the fake son nearest room 111. They're group stalking. They're in relevant position. They're engaged in federal stalking. They are engaged in what is obsessive group stalking while returning to the venue, having knowledge of the fact that they've been published, their criminal activities have been published on the internet, and their demon-possessed leader, Joe Tyler, has been specifically identified, and then you are under that specific identification in the same way you identify any police chief, and then you're subject to the pattern of conduct by that same police department. That's the entity that's specifically threatening your life. You go to federal prison for that. There's nothing vague or ambiguous about the pattern of conduct. So the entity is returning. These are the demons engaging in a sex offense documented, engaging in the perpetual sex offense, monitoring someone in a private space. These are a bunch of males and females representing what's supposed to be a fire department, okay? A function of the state, group stalking with a bunch of demons. They can change around names. They can vacillate who's in what room, wherever. All of this hotel are all demons, and they're all group stalking. The employee, Jess, she's group stalking. The demons are pacing up and down in and out of their rooms and in throughout the hallways and in and out of the building, group stalking. And they're all hostile to what I'm reviewing on the internet, which they're hostile to. And so I want to be clear, the state of California and the people of the state of California are fully aware of everything that's been published online while they've been engaged in demonic monitoring and harassment, terrorism, while it's been published online. So just want to make sure that I'm specifically pointing that out. Joe Tyler himself, this is a demon-possessed psychopath who knows exactly who I am regarding what every syllable that I've uttered about him. This is a statewide system, and he also needs to know I'm specifically pointing out the fact that he serves Satan, and he is witnessing his public exposure for being in that position and targeting an American citizen like myself and sending your little worker demons to engage in this criminal system, and it's occurring on your watch. You're going to be removed for it. All right, it is currently, again, 11:25 p.m. Do not be distracted. Again, Jess providing an admission that they're group stalking by being in room 306 and 310. First of all, that's not necessary to be fully engaged in federal stalking and criminal surveillance. Nonetheless, that sort of obsession with my genitalia to want to group stalk by being in the rooms all around me, that's very clearly indicated by the demons of CAL FIRE, California Forest and Fire Protection. Return to Holiday Inn to specifically group stalk me, because that's all that you are doing under a fake sun and an engineered light, especially after being specifically documented and published for it. That's exactly why CAL FIRE is here. And any explanation as to where they're going or where they came from or why they're here is nothing other than an admission regarding criminal presence and demons who are group stalking, because that spectacular show of demon possession that you saw in the parking lot is speaking to the real reason why they're here, and it's criminal. And there are demons who are obsessed with my genitalia, and they know exactly what's going on with my genitalia, regardless of what floor they're on, regardless of what room they're in. So I want to point that out. They don't have to be in room 306. The specific identity of that demon will be produced, but it doesn't have to be CAL FIRE. But if it is, I wouldn't be surprised. They came here to group stalk me, and they're going to be prosecuted for it. It's currently 11:27 p.m. This is P.O.C.